All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of the Slap the Ask show. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Sully the Great One, or at Sully, Sully, the Great, and then number 1 on Twitter. Sully is an extremely knowledgeable and transparent trader that we were connected to through another Twitter friend. Shout out to Bill Stocks. And we're looking forward to learning a lot from you today, Sully. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course. So I guess just hopping right into it. When did you first start trading, and why did you eventually start trading penny stocks?
Yeah, so funny thing is, right? So I assume a lot of people probably have a similar story. I actually worked for a company that gave me an option to buy stock in the company at a discount, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I worked for. And that company was Best Buy at the time. And I worked there for over roughly 10 years. I'm dating myself now, but so I worked there for about 10 years, and that was the first stock I ever bought. You know, I worked there as a younger kid, I call it, but not really a kid, I guess. And that was the first stock I ever bought. And then I really got interested because back then, that's when Best Buy was really heating up, you know, and obviously the retail landscape has changed now. But back then I was like, man, I'm compounding earnings like crazy here. You know, this is cool. So I started to dabble more, you know, I started to get in, and, you know, I had friends that were getting into and in different stocks and whatnot. And that's when I kind of branched out into the small cap, micro cap, OTC world a little bit and dabbled into that. I actually made some serious gains on a stock called Rave back in the day too. It's like a Pi 5 pizza chain. You know, when Chipotle was really gearing up for its big run, you know, and it has a similar deal. But you know, that's when I really started dabbling into the OTC, and I kind of got hooked there. I kind of got hooked on it there with the gains. You know, you buy something at $1 and it's running to 13, and you're like, what is going on? How is this happening? Right? You see these gains compounding, you know, so quickly. So that's what really got me into it, was taking that sort of, you know, the money from that I was making at Best Buy in that stock, selling some of the profits there, and then rolling it into other areas that potentially I thought at the time, I thought, you know, hey, these can really run, you know, so.
Yeah, I'd say that's what the attractive thing of the OTC is, right? Like the fact that, you know, running 100% over the course of a week is happening every week. There's always some ticker that's running hard all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you look at OTC tickers, what are the catalysts you're looking for? Like, what is the share structure of a particular ticker? Are you looking at technicals for it versus more fundamentals? Like, how do you determine what stocks you want to buy?
Yeah. So there's a lot that I look at, right? So, I mean, obviously you want to look at the share structure. Is this thing bloated where, you know, you're going to need the masses to come in, like a GameStop rally, to get it to go to, you know, 0.005, for example, right? You know, I don't have any interest in that, you know. I prefer to look at something that's fairly low float, although obviously share structures haven't mattered as much lately, only because, you know, more people are buying OTC now, so they're moving a little easier, which is kind of good. You know, it opens up a broader spectrum to what you can invest in. I also look at technicals, right? So obviously I mentioned I have big boards that I use, and that's really what funds my OTC addiction, is all my dividends from my big board stocks. So I really, you know, have just compounded these earnings on free money that other companies have given me. So that's pretty cool. But I do look at charts. I look at charts all day. My wife, you know, she's like, you married me, Nick, you know, it's like, what's going on? So I look at charts all day. I obviously look at who's in the stock. Twitter, you know, wasn't around back when I first started. And I actually recently joined Twitter, as you probably see on my handle, simply just for stock. That's all I really do on it. I don't do any of the, other interaction, but it's a good indicator as to what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Solly. And I think it's a good lesson for a lot of the listeners and even us sometimes is penny stocks are extremely risky, you know? So you taking your dividends from the big boards and investing in penny stocks, like you've already hedged your risk because you're betting essentially, you know, free money on these penny stocks. So yes, you're investing in something that's more risky, but then you also have technical analysis, you have charting, you have, looking at share structure, and then you minimize your risk even more. And now all of a sudden you have this profitable system that you've obviously been very good at. So I
Yeah,
think it's cool to watch.
I appreciate that. I also enjoy doing DD as well, like everybody
Oh
else
yeah.
out there.
Mhm.
Everyone else loves DD. Twitter can be good for it sometimes. It can also be dangerous at times. So you need to watch, what you're reading, be able to verify things. I think that's very important for anybody new or looking to get in.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I love about your Twitter feed in particular is that I feel like you always try to get into the stock before the pumpers come. I know you
Yes.
did a tweet recently that laid out all like the cheapest pink current stocks, with the philosophy being when September rolls around and all the non-pink current tickers are no longer tradable, the pumpers are going to get into the cheapest pink current stocks and start going from there. I think that's a very interesting way at investing in the OTC. So with that, how do you like try to find a stock that is about to be pumped? I guess like what do you look for in it?
So there's a few indicators, right? When you look at what's going to be in the future, right? You brought up the list that I posted the other day. Here's all the pink currents, and with new SEC rules, people should be looking at that. That they're coming whether you like it or not. I'm not saying you can't make money on stop signs now. You can't make money on custodianships. Obviously those are still there and we're seeing them run, right? But the rodeo days are going to go away, unfortunately, with some of that stuff. So we need to be prepared, right? Moving forward. Okay, what pink stocks are undervalued for what they offer, right? So GRLT was on that list, for example, right? And I've been pounding, the table on that one since nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted it at 0012,
And now everyone wants it after it's running. That's how it is.
Yeah. And I even posted that. I was like, whatever, let's go. It doesn't matter. That's fine. If y'all love it now, that's great. I've been yelling it forever, And, it's important to look at the future, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that don't look at OTC markets, that don't understand the difference between what a stop sign is or what a pink current is, or even a yield sign or what have you. A lot of people don't even know what OTCQB is, right? And all of this stuff is important to know to be able to move up and understand if something really has potential or not. Back to your initial question, sorry, real quick. With looking at charts, right? I call it the camel hump. Another guy calls it an elasticity check that I talk with often. But the camel hump is kind of that front load you're looking at, right, on a chart. So if you see something like that, okay, all right, people have loaded up and it's come back down a little bit. The other ones that were already in, right, before the pumpers, because that does happen, right?
Yeah.
They got out when they saw that hump, right? That, oh, I got my shot. I've been in this thing forever. I'm getting out, right? So now the pumpers on the stock. And that's when you see it coming through on Twitter, right? Whether it be a week or, 2 weeks, whatever, they have an agenda and that's okay, right? But you got to know how to see this stuff or you're going to be bag holding like crazy.
Yeah, I think the thing with pumpers too, you have to realize is when they're front loading a stock, they're not tweeting about it at all. They're not putting anything out to the public. They're just their boys, their group of high net worth individuals are loading the stock. And generally it's penny stocks because you can manipulate them a lot more. You know, there's a lot less shares, you can buy a lot more of the stock, you can control the stock price a lot more. And then after a few days, they start pumping it out to the masses. It starts running. If you think that they're only selling at the top and they're saying that they're long-term investors, they're not long-term investors. They're selling the whole way up. They're scaling out of their position. And I think that's why I like your Twitter so much is you're finding these plays before the pumpers are ever even in them. So you're making even more money than what the pumpers are making off of the people coming in. And
Exactly.
that's a skill that I think like you and Bill and a few Twitter traders have that not a lot of people really do. And and you have the transparency, so people trust you now, and you've gained this following who are going to buy the plays that you're tweeting about, and I think it's really cool.
And with that too, just from my perspective, right? And this is just the kind of human I am. There's a lot of responsibility with a following, right?
There is, yeah.
So, you can choose to say, hey, all right, I'm going to front load this thing and I'm going to blow it out of the water, but why? Why do that to people, right? Let's find real quality plays that we can all get in on if you're listening, right? If we can get in on it and move together, right? And make money, right? So that's the end goal for everybody. I get it. I treat it like a business like everybody else, but, I don't need to deceive people to move a stock. I don't believe in that.
Right. Would you say most of your OTC trading then is more swing trading, as in you wait for the catalyst to hit and things like that, or do you dabble in day trading as well?
I do. Yeah, I do. I dabble in day trading. I don't tweet about day trades I make. I don't think that that's tactful, right? Because if somebody sees, I got in this, right, and then I'm getting the heck out, I just made them buy. Like that's not nice to people, right? Like you try to be, a good human.
Slippery slope. Yeah.
So I do day trade. I do swing trade. Absolutely. I swing trade a lot of stocks. A lot. GRLT on the first run, I swung all the way up, and that was months ago. And I saw the chart, and it's a real company with a good CEO. It's going to run again. It got beaten down for no reason. So you just got to wait for that right entry point, and I got back in.
Yeah, I guess that's a philosophy behind VNU as well, right? Great CEO and pounding.
So I knew Venue would come up. That's kind of what I'm known for, right? So and there's no secret. I got my Rock House Live shirt on, right? I'm drinking my rock out of my Rock House Live mug,
Yeah, that's what they got.
We got to get the CEO on for an interview. We'll have you come back on. We'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw my tweets, but I finally bought into VNU this past week on that dip around like 0.0158. It dipped a little more, but I mean, you can never call the bottom. But
Yeah.
I'm happy with that position. I mean, just a small position, just 100,000 shares, but I'm probably going to be adding because when smart traders are in it, I like to be in it. So,
well, buying quiet is important, right? So when you have a quiet ticker that nobody's really talking about, everybody loved it when it was running. I've been in it since trips, not going to lie. That's where I've been. And I yelled it when nobody was listening, right? Just like GRLT. So, it's just one of those things that Venue is a unique ticker, with the DD behind it that's 100% verifiable. A lot of the OTC, you don't see that. Some of the stuff is all speculation and what have you. But with Venue, it's interesting. And on the dips, just to give a shout out, I didn't see the dip coming from like 3 down to under 2 cents. And there was another guy at Silly Sheep 9 who did, and he called it out. And this is what people should listen to and learn from, right? So he called it out, and I was against it, just from what I was seeing. And he was right, I was wrong. So what I did, I reached out. I want to learn, Right. So you should really, it's not bashing when somebody calls it right. That's somebody who knows what they're doing, right? So let me learn from that. What did you see that I didn't?
Yeah, totally. And one thing I love on your feed, just like when you tweeted out about Phil Mickelson winning the PGA Championship, it's like you're never too old to learn new things and accomplish your goals. I think everything, especially in the markets, all learning process. There's never enough knowledge. You can always be learning more and just refining your skills.
If you're relying on just Twitter to buy things, there's a good chance you're going to fail. You have to do work. You have to put in the time. You have to know what's going on. If you don't, you're not going to be successful at this game. It's just how it is.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. as the old
Yeah.
saying goes.
Yep.
It's funny because I think when I first started trading, I entered at a good market time, so everything was doing well for like the first 2 months. Then it crashed, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like I thought it was so easy, and then when it's hard, you realize that it's about staying in the game. Is the name of the game. It's very hard to be in
Yep.
this game for a long time. And when I talk to people like you, like Six Sense, Bill Stocks, you guys have all been trading for much longer than I have, longer than Jimmy. So it's important for us, I think, to learn from you guys. But the fact that you guys are willing to learn from other people is really cool. So I guess going off of that, who are some of the traders that you have picked up some nice tips and tricks from?
Yeah, so I tend to gravitate towards unknown traders, right? So I like to look at people that call things correctly that maybe don't have a following, right? And it's not about follower count. It's never been that way. If you're chasing follower count, you're going to run into the wrong people. Obviously at Bill Stocks One, he has a follower account now, but I've known Bill since he put it up, so Bill's probably been one of the best friends, I guess you could call it, that I've made on Twitter. At Silly Sheep 9, I mentioned him. He is one of the best charting people I've ever seen in my life. He knows everything, and he does free sessions for people that just want to learn. And
That's cool.
no pump or nothing, just talk about any ticker, big boards, whatever. And he'll show you different indicators to look at and whatnot. So there's that. Wild Rhino, I mean, his DD is beyond good. I mean, that man is really good at that. Michael G Trades, nobody, it seems, wants to follow him, but he does really well. He put me on DSCR.
Really?
In the trips. Yep. So that was a gift from him to me. And then, I obviously put it out there too, because that was a good run. And who else? Cody, stock player 11, I believe. Also great chartist. I love having people that I can, oh, I see this in the chart. What do you guys see? That we can bounce back and go back and forth. And a lot of times they don't even have, skin in the ticker that I'm talking about. So that's when you have someone genuine, right? They're going to respond to you. They're going to say, all right, let's collaborate. And they have no money to make from doing it, right? They just want to genuinely help you get better or even learn themselves along the way. So those are just a few that I would mention out there that really deserve a good follow. They're phenomenal at what they do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's the beauty of Twitter and the internet in general, is just getting exposure to different people on their styles of trading. And, you really are able to think of things you would not think of otherwise when you
Absolutely
think what they're talking about.
For sure. And, like we were talking about with DD and whatnot, everybody finds doing DD easier than reading a chart, right? Anybody can go do a Google search and look up a company or, the history of it. Not everybody can look at a chart and say, I know what this is, right? So you gotta be willing to learn and adapt. If you're not willing to do that, you can't just rely on one or the other. You kind of need both, right?
Right.
And those guys help me out.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think the only way that you can like exclusively use charting is if you're day trading, because there's so many catalysts that can come into play and completely screw up a chart, especially with penny stocks.
Sure.
So yeah, like you said, it's important to use a combination of all these different. You can use the internet, you can do your DD, you can use technical analysis. There's a lot of ways that you can do it, but I think if you realize you're not good at one, there's other people that can help you, and there's a lot of good traders like the ones you mentioned that you can learn from and become better. But Sully, I got to ask you a question. So you're a Seahawks fan?
I am. I actually was born in Seattle. A lot of family out there, and I sadly don't live there anymore. I do work for a company based out there, so it's cool. I get to go back every once in a while. I'm just a regular guy like everyone else. Got a 9 to 5, so
Yeah.
Awesome.
but
I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm in Philly. Jimmy's a Dallas fan, so we don't get along too well with the sport.
I don't get along with Dallas fans very much.
a special kind of people.
Yeah,
I
right.
have friends that are Dallas fans, and I love watching the failure. I'm not gonna lie.
It seems like that's a common trend. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, circling back to trading just one more time. Talk about OTC. Talked a little bit about big boards. One thing I had a question about for big boards though is your style different when it comes to investing in big boards versus OTC? Or would you say it's similar in that you're looking for a catalyst, following the charts, things like that?
So with big boards, I mean, obviously you want to look at what's hot, what sector's hot, what's going on, what's the deal, right? I typically do the same stuff. I like to implement, I invest in leadership. I love looking at leadership in a ticker. I think that's very important is so you know if you're going to go long or if you're going to, kind of just swing it or, day trade it, whatever. So I think it's important to look at leadership. That's the biggest key, and that's how I got into Venue. I'm known for it, right? But there's not a better CEO. I don't care about any other ticker. There's not a better CEO in the OTC period. There just isn't. The man's track record speaks for itself, right? So he's already sold 2 businesses, one in the same sector, right? And then one to Mark Cuban, right? Who then sold it to, it's just the guy has success. He knows what he's doing. So if you trust in it, right, and he wants to grow it organically, just like big boards, same idea. Those are the plays I look at to go long in, right? I've been long in Venue. I probably should have sold it at 4 or 5, right? That's what the chart says. That's what everything says. I should have just sold it, right? But I truly believe, and I also the chart showing, upward momentum in that one too. But I truly believe we're going to be up over a nickel here soon.
Okay, great. Good to know. I got to open a position now. It's
I know.
everyone's harping it. I feel I got to listen to the people that know this stuff,
Yeah. So back to what you were saying about big boards. I mean, I invested in Fiat Chrysler, right? Nobody really cares. It's not fancy or whatever. But at the time, the CEO, he passed away, unfortunately. But that dude was crazy, like crazy good, against the grain. I'm disrupting the automobile industry. We're bringing back gas guzzlers, and we're gonna make America love it. Like that's what we're gonna do. This vision, like I could wrap my head around that. People, there's a market for it, right? So I made good money on that one, right? But I look at leadership, and that's where I want to go. I mentioned Rave earlier, right? One of the first small cap, OTC penny stock, whatever you want to call it. There was a CEO transition. The guy was from Smashburger. He was an executive from there, and it's a restaurant thing. It just made sense. The market's going to cheer that, right? Like the guy already won there. Turns out he didn't win in Rave, but I didn't have to see it, right? So I got my money and got out of there. So, it's just one of those things. I like looking at leadership. I think it's important to know who you're investing in, right? Because somebody runs that company.
Yeah. It's funny, I was saying that to Jimmy the other day is when I look to invest in a company long term, I like to invest in companies much like you whenever the founder is the CEO, because that company is his life. Like people can hate on Elon Musk, but Elon Musk eats, sleeps, and breathes Tesla because that's his baby that he came up with. So I think to your point, investing in founder run companies is very important.
Yeah, and that's a good example right there too, right? So with Elon, right, Tesla didn't make a profit for how long?
Like last year.
They weren't making money forever. They weren't hitting goals, they weren't hitting quotas, but the vision was there, right? The vision was there. People loved what he had to say, and knew they believed he could implement, right? So that's no different when you're going along in a play in OTC or big board, right? That's the vision. Like again, I go back to Venue because that's my only long position at this point. That CEO, he knows what he's doing. Yeah, they're not making money right now. It's in beta. I mean, come on, that's how it works. But he knows what he's doing in the industry, and his leadership team is phenomenal, right? So you look at all that coupled together. Okay, I can go comfortably, long here while flipping, whatever else.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think that's words of wisdom right there. So crypto has been pretty hot the past couple of months. We've had a pretty significant dip the past week and a half. Do you dabble in crypto at all?
So, I just heard the name Elon, right? And people hating on Elon. You can't mention crypto without him, right? At this point, I think.
Yeah.
I don't dabble in crypto. A lot of people I know do. I have never been a crypto guy. Not. I mean, maybe I should have been. A lot of people made a ton of money on it. But for me, it's just too much. It's way more volatile, in my opinion, than an OTC ticker. Some of them anyway.
100%.
It pains me because I look at crypto charts because I just like doing it because everybody at work's like, oh, I bought Dogecoin. I'm like, what are you doing? You bought it at the top. Like, stop. So I'm looking at it and I'm telling them it's a bad idea. And sadly, a lot of people are going to get played in some of the crypto plays, but it's part of the game. It is what it is. I'm more of a physical gold and silver guy, to be honest with you.
Peter Schiff, man.
Hedge against inflation.
Yeah. I do more of that. Historically looking at that, again, it's a different market, but historically looking at that, I mean, the gold silver ratio isn't there. So silver's been creeping up and I've been in silver, so I got a local guy that I go buy my, bullion from or whatever and throw it in my safe, and there you go.
They've both been trending up this week. Gold and silver, I think, are doing they're rallying pretty.
Yeah. Well, you look at the inflation going on and all that stuff. You got to look elsewhere.
True.
So,
Sully, going off of that, how important do you think it is to hedge against inflation? Because you said that you're buying gold and silver. How important is that in the perspective of your portfolio?
Yeah, so stock, I mean, we all know stocks, they can fall, so can commodities, right? But typically they don't do it together, right? So it's important to have that balance, right? Everyone talks about diversification. If you're just diversifying within the OTC, that could not be a good idea, right? That could destroy your account. So you got to be willing to go elsewhere and learn more about different things so you can hedge against whether it be a recession or just something that drops. And I'm sure you guys see it all the time. Don't go all in on one ticker, and that's valuable. That's good information you should be reading and understanding.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, I think we are entering like a weird time in the market where government spending is at an all-time high. Equities are an all-time high, essentially. Commodities are going way up. It's kind of real estate's all the way up. It's going to be a place where I don't think people are going to know how to navigate. So it's going to be a very, very like in 20 years from now, they're going to be talking about this time period in economics.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're coming out of what a pandemic, or at least thinking we're coming out of that. Who knows, right? I don't even know. But we're coming out of that, and people are trying to go back to work, right, and whatnot, and that eliminates some of the OTC trading that you were seeing during the pandemic when everybody was home, right? Oh, I got to go back to work. So, it's interesting. And then SEC rules are changing, right? So you have that dynamic. You got a lot of moving parts around you. You got to be prepared and you got to hedge.
Yeah, it's very important. I guess going off of that, you're talking about COVID and how we're coming out of the pandemic. Do you think that now that we're coming out of the pandemic, we're going to see an influx of money going into small caps? Because it seems like crypto, it's been so volatile lately that people are taking their money out of crypto. I recently put my money into crypto, but a lot of people are saying, oh, the money's going to come into small caps from crypto. What are your thoughts on that? Or you just think it's people just talking?
It could happen. It certainly could. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It really is. It's hard to predict that. From what I see crypto wise, and again, I'm not in it and I have no interest in it, but from looking at it, usually the market trend goes with Bitcoin, right? Like that's the king of crypto or whatever.
Yeah, historically.
Yeah, yeah, and that looks like it's about due for a big correction to me. So, you know, the other small coins, you know, safe moons and all that. I mean, that could be your OTC, right? Where it's safe. It's not going to feel that you know. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but I do think about that. As far as money flowing in from crypto to OTC, I sure hope so. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sully, I want to just thank you for coming on, taking your time out of the Memorial Day weekend to talk with us. I know, you know, it's nice. Everyone's trying to get a little time off, a little vacation. Granted, the weather is not really cooperating. You can't go to the beach or anything like that, but I really appreciate you coming on. I know Luke does too. Learned a lot from you and can't wait to stay connected as we, you know, go throughout this investing journey. We'll definitely send you a shirt too once we start making some merch.
Yeah.
Love
Thank
it.
you so much, Solly. We appreciate
Love
you coming on.
Thank you guys. Hey, keep doing the good stuff, right? This is great for people to watch, great for people to see, and I love it. You guys are doing really good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Love to hear it, man. Appreciate the
All
kind
right.
words.
Take it easy.
All right, later.
Feeling good, like I should.